I'm worried that our darkest days are still ahead of us.
Video games are such a diverse medium. There are so many different genres and so many different topics that can be explored. While most games opt for creating fictional worlds to explore, battle in, and engage with, there are also those games that attempt to explore the real world. Often this is done by placing a fictional narrative in the backdrop of historical events. And that's the track that the game that I'm looking at today takes. 1979 Revolution Black Friday is not about the sale after Thanksgiving, but rather an important day in the Iranian Revolution. If you're like me, you may not have known much about this event. However, it was a pivotal point in the revolution that became a bit of a point of no return. While the backdrop may be interesting, let's take a deeper look at the game. 1979 Revolution Black Friday is an adventure-style game developed by Ink Stories. It was released in 2016 for Windows, mobile, PS4, Switch, and Xbox One. I'm playing the PS4 version of the game here. Price is a little all over the place. Mobile prices are $4.99, Steam has it for $9.99, and consoles price it at $11.99. It is rated M, but it maybe seems a bit too high for me. I would place it more of a T, but I can also kind of understand why an M is what they landed on. While the backdrop is the Iranian Revolution, you play as Reza Shirazi. Reza is a photojournalist, or at least aspires to be one. He is the character that you experience the events of the game with. The story is split between two time periods. The game starts in 1980, with Reza being found by police and captured. He is then interrogated by the warden of the prison, who goes by the name Hajaha, and is actually based off a real person. There are then flashbacks to various events in the past. These flashbacks show Reza's involvement with the revolution and the actions that he takes. It's an interesting narrative, and while playing through the game you can find collectibles or take pictures that give you more information about the actual events of the time. And it's really interesting how a lot of the pictures and things that you get to take in the game are really close to the actual photos that you get to see when you do that. Like it's really a neat detail that really helps kind of tie this story to the real events. I feel like the story overall left me with mixed feelings though. On the one hand, I really enjoyed learning more about the Iranian Revolution and some of the aspects about it, particularly the wide amount of ideologies that came together to start the revolution. I would have thought that it was just a Muslim-based revolution, but that wasn't the case. You had all kinds of people joining together, Muslims, communists, and others as well. While you don't get a super detailed understanding of everything, there was enough to allow me to learn a number of things. On the other hand, I felt like the main story of the game following Reza was a bit rushed feeling. I didn't really feel like I got to understand many of the characters in the game and their motivations to the degree that I would have liked. This is particularly true of Reza himself. I felt like he was just kind of taken by the current and lacked much initiative or motivation of his own. I didn't dislike what was there, but it left me wanting a deeper fleshing out of the characters. Now, part of this with Reza might be just so that you were kind of inserted into the narrative through him, but I didn't really find that that worked for me very good with this game. Now, part of the reason why things didn't get fleshed out is the fact that this is a fairly short game. Now, I don't mind that fact, and I don't really dislike short games. In fact, it's kind of nice to have a shorter game every once in a while, because having all long games makes for not getting through games very quickly. However, I do think that it does play a part here in making the characters feel a bit thinner than I would like. Being an adventure-style game, the gameplay of 1979 Revolution is not super exciting. You basically walk around maps, talk to people, sometimes getting to make dialogue choices, find collectibles, take photographs, and have the occasional QuickTime event. If you're a fan of these type of games, you'll probably not have any issues with this, as that's what's fairly common. Just don't go in expecting some kind of action style of game here. Given this, I don't have a lot to comment on the gameplay. There are at least two endings in the game, which are influenced by certain decisions you make throughout the game. Given the shortness of the game and the ability to chapter select, it is fairly easy to see both of these endings if you want, but at the same time, there isn't a whole lot of difference between them. And looking at other reviews, I've seen a lot of people complain about the QuickTime events. To be honest, they didn't really bother me. They're not particularly difficult. There is one that involves dodging bullets that was a little hard to tell what you were supposed to do at first, but once I got it down, it wasn't really too bad. One thing that I did find a bit strange about the game was the very uneven length of the chapters in the game. Some would be super short, while others had a decent length to them. It just felt weird why some of them were so short while others had a good amount to them. It's not a huge deal, but it was something that I noticed felt off about the game. Overall, I didn't dislike the gameplay here, but I didn't really find it all that exciting either. It was just kind of okay. The art style of 1979 Revolution Black Friday is good. The game has a strange shading to it, but I kind of liked it and felt that it gave it a very distinct look. It definitely didn't blow me away or anything, but for an indie adventure style game, I thought it was done fairly well. The sound is also just okay. I feel like games with voiced lines tend to focus on the quality of the vocals rather than on a soundtrack that I kind of find enjoyable to listen to, and this is pretty much the case here. I found the voiceover to be well done for the most part, but the background music very forgettable and just very much in the background and not really standing out at all. I did experience one performance issue with the game. There was a part of the game where I just became completely stuck. I couldn't move or back out of the area I was in. This made me have to restart, but it did only happen once. I don't really feel like it hurts my opinion of the game since it was rare, only happening once in my entire playthrough, even in my playthroughs to get the platinum, but it was there. So I'm mentioning it here, and hopefully it's a rare issue that not very many people run into. 1979 Revolution Black Friday is a game with an interesting premise that just fails to really stand out beyond its interesting subject matter. The game is all completely fine, but there is nothing truly exceptional. I liked learning about the history surrounding the narrative, but Reza's story lacked a sense of knowing who our characters were in a more meaningful way. Gameplay is fairly standard for the genre and definitely won't stand out that much. Due to this, I'm rating 1979 Revolution Black Friday a 7 out of 10. This is definitely a game that is still more good than bad to me. It's an interesting premise, and I feel like it is worth playing just to learn about the Iranian Revolution and the Black Friday massacre. I just found the main focus of the story and the gameplay to be a bit lacking in some ways. Not enough to make me dislike the game or dislike enjoying it, but enough to be like, this isn't definitely one of the top tier games out there. And I wish that I could give it a better rating, because I do think that the subject matter would be good for more people to know about. We're just given such a small glimpse of Reza's story that it's hard for me to feel more connected. It is possible that this was due to the fact that the original vision for this game wasn't really able to happen. It was originally supposed to be episodic, with Black Friday only being part of the first episode. But I can't say that for certain. I don't know if they had different characters planned and you were going to follow different characters at different parts, or what the original vision really looked like. It certainly feels like there was more to tell here, however they were going to structure it, but sadly we only got a small part of it.
All claims our nation is a democracy, but how can that be true when we are imprisoned and executed for our beliefs?